The mirror is the first framework we usually work with our clients on. It's a reflection of how you're performing in the market, and it gives you a view of what your clients think of you. So we go and talk to your clients, and that gives us a true north in terms of whether the promises you're making to the market are really hitting the market and they're getting what they need from you, whether those things marry up. What we usually find from that as well is we do a piece of work on the marketing that you're doing in terms of the content and the team, sometimes in how they're performing. We talk to your teams and actually ask them what they think. Is the business talking about the right story? Does it have the right story behind it? And of course we look at the competition. Where's the company positioned next to its closest 5 to 10 competitors? The client research gives us enormous insight in terms of what the real value is. And quite often we find money that's been left on the table or issues that haven't been resolved. You know, unhappy clients, we can turn them into happy clients, etc. So what we often do with results from the mirror is feed that into a sales enablement program that helps the teams to go and actually supercharge the next round of what it is that they do. The message is our message framework. It's the storytelling mechanism that we provide companies. We help them to tell their story in a much more engaging way and position with a category that they own so that they've got their own differentiated market position and they can talk with confidence about their USPs and the things that make them really good, as opposed to being a me too. Specifically, the message it uses a lot of research and discovery, but we look at things like brand characteristics or the characteristics of the team. We look at the culture and actually make sure that it's something that comes through, it's got integrity and it's genuine, so that the salespeople and the marketing people, in fact anybody in the organization, feels it. And that's really important so that they feel engaged. If they don't feel engaged, nobody else is feeling engaged. As part of that work, we provide a boilerplate tagline. We'll do some work on single line messages, wider messages, segmentation, use cases, etc. And that can be used for all kinds of things like product, brand, internal comms, all sorts of different things. But effectively, when you're trying to tell a better story, that's when we use the message. So once you know your position in the market, once you know what you want to say to the market, of course you've actually got to figure out how you're going to go to market. And that means really looking at sales and marketing as one, because usually in organizations, even sales, marketing and product don't talk to each other. This exercise is about bringing those things together and figuring out from a very tactical and practical perspective what a calendar of activity looks like for marketing, what a pipeline looks like, how the salespeople will work with marketing to figure out how you hand over a marketing qualified lead to a sales qualified lead. But actually moving back up towards the strategy, we've got to figure out how do we look at the cost of acquisition and get that down? What's the lifetime value of a customer? What are things like what do the sales cycles look like? How can we shorten them? And make sure that that is absolutely aligned to what the business is trying to do. Because if you've just got random marketing activity running with a sales department that doesn't talk to the marketing department and no plan to kind of pull it all together without the story, you won't have a very good result. Often in an organization, you find that people will say, well, I'm not allowed to do that, or I feel like I can't do this, or the rules tell me, computer says no. And that's not an enabling culture, and it's really difficult for people to operate when things are like that. Often when you speak to the leaders, the first thing they'll say is, well, that's ridiculous. We need to absolutely get those things out of the way. But of course, there's still structure and rules that you can and can't break, etc. What's more important is for the person, the individual, to feel empowered. You can't give confidence to someone if they're anxious. It's really difficult for anxious people to be confident and come across well. So we have to try and remove the anxiety, unnecessary anxiety, and enable them with good tools so that they can feel confident and they can communicate well. So once you clear the path for them to do that and you give them that permission, it's an incredible runway, I suppose, that they can really take off and do some great things. Tollejo Studio is where we make all our content and all of our creative. So we've done a lot of this work in the past. We have ex-Financial Times journalists writing that kind of content. Those sorts of content are things like white papers, blogs, pieces of research, web copy and things like that, but also things like annual reports too. Playbooks are massive, brochures are massive for that stuff. We get up to all sorts in Tollejo Studio. Thanks very much for watching. If you'd like to know more, fill in your details on our website and we'll get back to you.